Nobody starts at the finish line. You have to start somewhere. In order for you to get to where you're going, to meet that destination, you can't think that you're going to get there instantly.
Song that she had written of when my daughter shows up, can I be the man that she does? The impression I got will I be the man that she deserves or that she needs or something like that.
No, am I just gonna be present?
Okay.
Like legit, like, and I don't just mean present in the physical aspect, right? Because look, I know so many people that grew up with their mom and their dad, and they still became an adult and said, well, you don't know me, because the parent wasn't present. They was there, but they wasn't active. And so what my father showed me by not being in my life was, not only do I need to physically be there, but I need to also show up why I am there. I need to be present in the actual things that I'm doing. I need to show up.
Yeah. Wow. That's I appreciate you for being able to step into that role and recognize that for not only yourself, but for the people that you care most about. That's a talent and a half itself. That's a God-given gift. You know, not everyone's able to do that and recognize that. So I appreciate you. I commend you because, man, that's quite an ability to be able to do. You know, I think that's you got that meaning from, you know, the positive people that you've surrounded yourself with, whether it's books, people, family members. I don't know where you learned that from, but man, for whatever reason, I'm glad that you did because we can have this conversation now about it and I can learn from you. That's
Right.
huge.
And see, it's crazy because I actually learned this as a kid. You know, on the flip side of it, you know, I was trying to be positive in it, but then I started having resentment towards the wrong people, because one person was doing something negative, and then the people that was around me who was trying to offset the negativity, I was getting upset with them. And then I had to realize I'm upset at the wrong people, and actually not even, I don't need to be upset at nobody, because what happens is when we have an unmet expectation, it lets us, and somebody let us down in some type of way, we get self-doubt, right? We be like, well, why didn't they do this for me? Why didn't they show up for me? What, they don't love me? Am I not worthy? Do I not deserve this? That creates some type of self-doubt when we have that unmet expectation or somebody didn't show up for us. But what we have to understand is the role that we expect somebody to play does not necessarily mean that's the role that they want to be in. So, like, you know, and I heard it on this podcast. Uh um can't even remember the podcast, but I heard it on this marriage podcast. They were just like, well, a mom and the dad was just two people. Like, your parents was just two people. They chose to be good people in your as your parents.
Mm-hmm.
But if they didn't show up and be those people that we would want them to be, well, that just means that they just, maybe they didn't know the role that they had to play.
Yeah.
You know, and so we only actually can operate with the tools that we are actually given. Like, I can actually place, you know, a saw and and some power tools in front of you. Yeah, you got all of the tools, but if you don't know what none of them do, you're gonna actually do more damage with those tools than you actually could do actually doing the benefit. And so,
Mm-hmm.
like, for myself, you know, I just started learning that I need to make sure I'm using the energy the way I want to use it. You know, I remember watching the movie Matrix, and Neo would just, he put his hands up and be like, nope, this is not coming in. But what I translated that as, you know, is that's where I said we create the world that we want to live in. Because not only did he do that in the Matrix, in the last one, he actually did that in real life. And so what he started doing in his subconscious, that's what with the Matrix, in his mind, you know, he was somewhere different. But then he actually said, if I could do this here, I could do this over here too. And so if we start doing these positive things in one environment, we can actually force ourselves to do it in an environment that we probably was never supposed to do it in. Nobody said that we could do it in this environment. We never seen nobody do it in that environment. So that's why we don't believe that we could. But we actually could be the first person to actually start doing it. And so one of the quotes that I actually made was, just because you never seen it don't mean you can't become that. And so I never saw what a good dad looked like, or what my interpretation of what, from what a movie or was. But just because I didn't see what a good father was, it didn't mean that I couldn't become a good father. And so it's the same thing. We have to remember that within ourselves. We may have to, as you said, if not me, why not? It may take for you to actually be the person that start creating certain traditions in the family. You might be the one that actually start expressing feelings. You might be the one that actually starts saying, no, why we always being silent? Why we ain't never really having a good time? Why we ain't never this? Why we ain't being healthier? And so the things that we be on the course of life that we're on, because it was actually not necessarily given to us, but it was shown to us. And so because we didn't see something different, we feel as though that we don't have no other options, because we didn't see nothing different. And so when we don't see nothing different, we think that there's no other option. So if you go into a restaurant and all you see is pizza, you wouldn't even ask, do they have salad? Because you didn't see no other options. But that don't mean that they don't have salad, though. That's why some of these restaurants is now changing the name, like Papa John's. It don't say Papa John's Pizza no more, because they know that now people would never ask for some of the other things that they actually provide, because they don't see it. They see the one thing that's on the forefront. And so when we start saying those same things, okay, maybe mom and dad never exposed me to something, but that don't mean that these options are not out there. Yeah. And so that's what I started doing. I started questioning, okay, just because I never seen this, is there other options? Like, that's one of the reasons why I became a vegan. Like, I've seen how my family history was, and it created certain things. And I just said, well, is there any other options out there? And I started looking. And so now it put me on a different course, which now I can now show my daughter other options. Not say you have to walk in this course. I have other options to present her with. And so now when we get presented with more options, it gives us more opportunities, because there's no opportunity and no options. If there's no options, how is there opportunity? So when we have more options, we have more opportunities, because we can now do something different that's besides what we were shown. So
it's interesting that you say that too, because stepping into that role of, say we do walk into Papa John's, right? And we hear Papa John's pizza, we see the commercial, Papa John, they got pizza. We only get pizza there. And the challenge is finding that environment, or being in that mindset, creating that awareness, kind of what we're speaking to earlier, of how do I figure out if there's a menu that's not on the menu I see. Kind of like, I know if you go to Jamba Juice, what do they call it? Like a secret menu. And one of them's like the white gummy bear. You can order the white gummy bear, and it's like white shirt. It's like whatever it is. But like every place, every Jamba Juice I've gone to, like they all know the secret menu, the people that work there. So if you tell them, they'll put it on, but like you would never know. And I've told people that are like, to my age, they're almost in their 30s, like, Jamba Juice has a secret menu. I'm like, they've had a secret menu like ever since they opened up, pretty much. But it's a matter of like, how do we transition into that, right? How do we surround ourselves with either the people, or get ourselves out of the rut that we've been? And that's right, challenging or pattern interrupts, whatever that is. And there's various ways that we can do it, but make sure we stay in that state of mind of looking for those opportunities, seeking that change, of wanting to better the life. Did you crack me up when you're like vegan fried chicken? I was like, what is vegan fried chicken? What does that even taste like? Is it good?
Man, listen, it's phenomenal.
Yeah?
It's life-changing. I promise.
No way.
I promise you. You'll think you eating fried chicken just from the simple fact that the consistency, that's what it's giving you. It's giving you the consistency. And so like, you know, it's an oyster mushroom. It's not like the regular mushrooms. And so these oyster mushrooms, they're thicker, they're bigger. It gives you more of a consistency. When you cook them a certain way, it tastes different. And so what that just helped me to realize is, as you said, there is secret menus. And here's the thing, there's a secret menu into our life in order for us to grab our greatness. But we have to see that there is a secret. We got to find out first. We got to go and see. Oh man, you know what? Oh, I didn't know that it was another way. Oh, it's another way. Yeah, listen, they say it's more than one way to skin a cat. Here's the thing: 2 + 2 is 4, right? 1 + 3 is 4, right? Listen, 5 - 1 is 4. It's plenty of ways to get to where you're trying to get to, but you got to see that it is another way to actually getting there.
Yeah. Yes. Man, power. There's so much power in everything that we've been speaking to, man. You know?
Absolutely.
Bringing people into these communities and creating a shift. And I think one of the things I've really been realizing with the amount of people I've been speaking to, such as yourself, right? Mentors, people that are interested in their self-development and growth. And this was this was just catching, it seemed like it was just catching fire in like the 80s and 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah.
This industry has picked up phenomenally in the last few years, and it's only going to continue to grow. And especially with COVID coming along, where people have been so far away from social interaction, from self-development, or they're bored with their time. So they're like, how do I occupy my time with something more empowering where it's going to contribute towards a greater future for myself? Like, this is a huge opportunity, I believe, for coaches, people such as yourself and I, to step in and create a bigger movement towards, hey, what if we shift our current perspective of, drama and negativity to something more empowering, a more empowering future, a version of ourselves that supports others, that speaks greatness into others, speaks positivity into others, lifts people up. What if we become that kind of society? What kind of world will we live in? Because we live in one now where there's a little bit of that, but not nearly as much as we could and or should have.
Right. And that's because, again, we normalize, or we accept the negativity as it's okay. We hear that all the time. Oh no, it is okay. It's gonna be all right. It's gonna.
We want to live by okay.
Right. And here's the thing. I say this all the time. When it's around 4th of July, you see people with the little sparklers in their hand. It's like, all right, that's nice, that's cool. But it ain't until you see them fireworks that make you go, ooh, and it's something amazing, right? That's the same thing with our lives. We need to create excitement in our lives. But how do we create excitement in our lives? Knowing what our purpose is, knowing that we have greatness within us, staying on the side of positivity. And it's not saying that you ain't gonna have no setbacks. It ain't saying that you ain't gonna go through some type of negative situation, because you are. It is gonna happen. But does that mean just because you're going through a struggle or a setback that you're not great? No, that doesn't mean that. You are more than your flaws. You're more than your circumstances. It's more to each individual than that. And this is why I always I bring it right back to self-doubt, because your circumstances might start making you doubt yourself, right? It don't matter if you at the top of the game in something. LeBron James deals with self-doubt at some point. If he know that he normally dropped 30 points and he only dropped 15, he like, man, I don't believe I did this. Self-doubt. But what do? He don't sit in it. And I always say, we cannot live in the setback.
Mm-hmm.
You might can visit it, but you can't live there, because that is going to stop you from grabbing your greatness. And so, again, every little bit helps. The positivity, what we consume ourselves with. I always tell people, like, look, people they're gonna always tell you how to make money. People gonna always tell you how to maybe flip a house, or how to do this or how to do that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with any of those things, But what most people don't focus on is making sure you have your emotions in the right place. They don't make sure that you have your mental space in the right place.
That's our foundation too.
That is that's the cornerstone. Because if you don't have that, then all of the other things can easily fall. And I believe that if you are grounded properly, anything or anybody else that's connected to you will be able to stand because you are grounded. And so if people are standing on my shoulders, they'll be able to stand on my shoulders with confidence because they know my feet is planted on the ground. They didn't get on my shoulders because I looked like I was wobbling. They seen that I was standing firmly and secure, and so they felt comfortable enough to actually come get on top. And by now, I can actually hold them and keep them up because I'm the foundation. And so the people that are in our lives, when we be that firm foundation for ourselves, we are actually securing them at the same time. That's what I believe.
Can I be real with you real quick? Can I be real with you?
Yeah.
So this is something I find challenging, especially with young adults and people that are much younger than I, especially as we are transitioning into, and those people are transitioning to the professional workforce, is so many people, there's this expectation of go make a lot of money. And I'm not in a job where currently like my 9-to-5 job. Well, it's not a 9-to-5. I work 10 hours a day. So I'm up at like 6 a.m. I take public transportation to get to my job. Actually, I'm there by, I actually leave at my house at 5:50, catch the first bus in the morning. There's nobody on it. It's snowing outside. It's freaking freezing, right? I don't get back home until like 4:30. I usually leave work at like exactly 49 hours when the bus comes, get home, and then dive into creating content, digesting stuff because, you know, I see people that are my age, they have jobs. Like I have family members who have jobs and they're making a lot of money. And I'm like, a part of me is low key kind of, I don't want to say jealous because I feel like there's a lot of emotion tied to that word, but there's a lot of like, look, I could be pursuing that kind of career and have money and be okay and like have a house myself, but like I live with 2 other roommates and fortunately I don't pay rents because the company pays rent. You know, and I'm able to get paid overtime, which is a blessing and a half because you know, let's face it, like so many people right now don't have jobs. They're out of a job. I'm just grateful to have a job. And so there's this balance of, look, I'm grateful and I'm hungry and ambitious because I want success because I know that when money comes, it'll be able to amplify my ability to do things. But like, I gotta be patient because like what you said, I gotta build that foundation and like, hey, I'm a part of that microwave society. I grew up in that of I kind of want results. And I know that that's a mental thing. And to challenge that and say, awesome, yo, just be patient. Take your time, read the content, digest the material, have these conversations. Look, it's going to be slow starting out. Everything that is worth anything, doing your heart work, like you said, and I think Eric Thomas talks about that too, is it takes time. The struggle is, will I, or how long will it take? When does God have it in my book to essentially say, okay, now you're ready to expand, explode, and do these things and fulfill your greatness? Because
okay, so all right, let me say this to you, right? One, remove the time frame.
Yeah.
Right? When we put that time frame there, we are actually creating an expectation and we're creating an opportunity for us to be let down.
Yes.
And so when we remove the time frame and we say it is going to happen, not it's going to happen when. No, it is going to happen. Period. That don't have no time frame on it.
Yeah.
And so will the enjoyment and success be any less sweeter if it took you a year, if it took you 2 years, and you knew you was really grinding and you was doing what you needed to do. But here's the thing, we have to ask ourselves, what is the most important thing that we want from what we're doing? Because here's the thing, money is just an empty hole. And if we're doing it for the financial gain, we can never actually be doing it for something that's sustainable. And so when we're doing stuff out of genuine love, look, I'll do this for free. Here, I am currently doing this for free right now, and I don't care because I know I love doing it. Now, does that mean that I can't do something to supplement what I love? Because I believe that, you know, creating a problem to have a solution is not a solution.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, we at the same time, we have to just remember that, look, the reason that I'm doing this is because I'm doing this out of the love of people. You know, I really want to help somebody. I really want to, you know, hopefully it'll change somebody's life. It'll resonate with them. If I make some money from it, cool. If I don't, that's okay too, because it actually is something more tangible. Yeah, you might have, you like you said, somebody they got the money creates a more comfortable lifestyle, but that is all that it creates. It doesn't create it's people with money that still deal with self-doubt. It's people with money that still deal with inferiority complex. So it doesn't matter. And so what I would challenge you to actually start doing is saying, what is it that you are more, and ask yourself, what am I more in love with? Am I in love with the results, or am I in love with the process?
The process for sure. Because I see my perspective on money isn't like I want money because I want a big house. Like,
yeah,
that it's nice to be comfortable, but I more so want money because I know it'll allow me to reach more people. Whether I can, you know, drive or just get some kind of transportation to go to a seminar or host an event or go out in the community and give back to people. Right. Like it's like me being of service is scalable with money. And that's all I see money as, pretty much a tool to do more service for more people.
Right. And so, and this is, and we just was talking about this. So now one of the easiest things that I realize is, people that's doing stuff that they love, they may not be making no real money from it, but they might be doing something else to supplement that. And so that is actually funding the project. And so now is, all right, let me actually see how I can do something else to fund this project. That's not like, maybe the project that I'm doing within itself doesn't get real crazy dividends, but these other things that I'm doing is what getting the crazy dividends. And now by me getting the dividends from that is actually helping me to make this flourish.
Yeah. That's an interesting, as you say that, because my mind's like, man, I'm sacrificing my body. Like, I do construction every day. So I'm like up for 10 hours, lifting heavy stuff, and it takes a toll. But then I got to switch that perspective to say, hey, don't see it as a negative. How could it be a positive? It's a positive because I could be doing that, or I could be sitting in an office chair for 8 hours a day, probably not walking around, probably not eating the most healthy stuff.
Right.
So I could say, hey, like, I gotta do something that's physical every day, stay active, stay mentally sharp. Okay. And that's something that makes it more worthwhile until I'm able to transition fully over into
the
thing I'm
You're in control of how you feel. You're in control. You are the determining factor of your feelings. No one else can control how you feel. Remember, you're in control how you feel. So control your feelings.